So sometimes you can feel things starting to slip in your relationship. If you're a guy out there and you feel like you're not getting on with your wife as well as you could be or as well as you want to be, and things are getting a bit tense, and you're not sure quite where it started, you just know something's off. It doesn't feel the same way. I'm going to explain to you here in this video why this video will help you to improve the situation if you're caught in it. If you feel like you're going down that slippery slope in your relationship where things are getting tense and you're just not this, things are not the same. I'm doing this because this is common. I work with a lot of men who are busy professionals, and they find that their work life is successful, but it's getting in the way of their relationships, and they feel a little bit snappy when they come home, and they're just not in the mood of it, and they're starting to realize that maybe my work is taking over my life here. Should I be spending more time with the family? Should I be working? So this is a big thing that happens a lot of men, where you start to feel uncomfortable around your partner because you're like you're just not getting on the way that you used to do. Things probably felt better before, or when you started off first, or before the kids came along. So stick with me in this video, and I'll show you what's actually happening in that moment and what you can do about it to improve it. Because sometimes you might feel like your wife is giving you the cold shoulder. Like you come home and you just feel like something's changed or something is wrong, and it gets happened more and more, and your mind starts spinning. Then you don't feel the same anymore, and you know something's off. And even maybe you haven't said it out loud, you haven't talked to anybody about it, and most men don't like to talk about it. They're just going to push it down. And you might be thinking it's not a big thing. It might be just life. That's just the way it is. Doesn't this happen to everybody when they get married? You just drift apart. You might be thinking that it's work pressure. It's all of the responsibilities you have, and you're trying to keep everything moving. You're trying to get the bills paid, and you're trying to keep everything moving. And slowly, it starts interfering with your relationship. So here's what actually starts when it begins. When this starts to show up. So I'm good at back engineering what actually causes a person to get to that point where they feel uncomfortable, but it's the slippery slope where things start to go wrong. So it's not when someone are going back to their childhood or anything like that. It's just noticing what the triggers are and what's the process that's in place that reminds the person to get into that uneasy feeling. And then you know how it goes. It's just like a slippery slope. It can begin with something small. It can begin with something as simple as a tense moment, like something with the kids. When the kids are just hyper and they're running around, or there's something going wrong with one of the kids, and all of that stress builds up. It could be something that you carried home from work. It could be all of it combined together. It could be even that she comes home in bad form. Now, I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying that she's the problem, because your wife is probably going through something, or your partner's probably going through something, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. So that builds up as stress, and she's trying to cope with it. So that changes how she responds to you. So it could be something as simple as she comes home in bad form, snappy, short, moody. You just shrug it off. She's had a rough day. Fair enough. I'm just going to leave it. And your brain barely registers it. Just kind of just brushes it off. No big deal. This is how it can start off. Like, it always starts off with some small process. Sometimes it's a big deal that it starts off, but mostly this is how it builds up, and you need to, understand what's happening in that moment so it doesn't turn into a big deal. So you think no big deal, you move on, but then it happens again. Maybe it happens a couple of times. Maybe it's been happening for a while, and you're just going, this is shit. And this is where things start to shift. And I call this stacking the deck. So I'm going to show you an image here, and I just want you to kind of look at it and kind of just get a sense of understanding that this is a process that happens. In order for you to feel a particular way about somebody, there has to be something that is kind of influencing you to feel a particular way. And then a little bit of consistency added in with that then can change how you feel about somebody. Because this is how we learn to not like people. They do something bad, and your mind ties the bad feeling into the person. You do not want this to happen to your wife or your kids or your family or your friends. So understanding this will give you a head start on it and get you to understand there's a process in place here, and you need to understand how to just interfere with it and stop it before it turns into something. So in psychology, it's called reconsolidation, and it's when something is repeated and your brain starts connecting the dots. So you see here, starting point, you see your wife, bad mood. I call this stacking the deck. It's called reconsolidation in psychology. Wife plus argument repeatedly, your mind starts to associate her with the bad feeling. Now you're worried. You see her, or even thinking about her triggers off that distress. And now you're worried for it. It's like you just think about her, or you're driving home from work and you're thinking, I'm getting home here and I just know if I'm brushed off again, I'm going to fucking snap. And you just start to feel uncomfortable and uneasy just thinking about it, and you avoid each other. Now your brain is worried and has connected that bad feeling in with the picture of your wife. The two of them were together. This is how reconsolidation works. This is how stacking the deck works. And if you're not aware of it, it can turn nasty really, really quickly, or it can turn nasty over a period of time. So your mind starts connecting the dots. Now the door is open and the mood drops. Your mood drops and your brain goes, hang on a minute. This happened yesterday too. And it happened the day before. This has been happening regularly. And now her coming home, or you coming home, and you start feeling edgy. You start getting, you start linking the two together. It's the feeling is being connected in with her now, and a picture of her, a thought of her, or seeing her triggers off the feeling. And you often hear the saying, neurons that fire together wire together. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you need to understand what's happening in that moment. These are fancy terms. Neurons that fire together wire together. But what does it mean to you in your personal life? Because if you've got a busy life and you just want to get on with it, you don't need memes. You need to be able to have a strategy in place. If you're a man that's been making money and working and doing a job and paying the bills, you've got a strategy in place and it seems to be working to the best of your ability. And this is the same. You need to have something in place that you can see that there's a clear process in place to cause the problem and a clear process to stop the problem. So once you're aware of them, it helps you to change how you, if it gets out of control or not. Because if you didn't understand this will build up without even realizing it. And this is what happened, because I get to see inside the minds of men who are struggling with these issues. I see the triggers and I back engineer them, and I help them to collapse the feeling and reword, help them to re-elicitate a new feeling in and connect the new feeling to their wife, so that when they see them, it makes them feel good. And understanding this, even in a small way, can genuinely change the direction of your relationship. Because now, if we move into the next part, like where you just keep going and you don't do anything about it, it's like a groove. It gets deeper. Every time you repeat that uncomfortable feeling, every time you argue, every time you get stressed, every time you push it down and just brush it off and don't talk about it, it wears the same track deeper in your brain. It's like walking through the same track all of the time, week after week. Even if it's spaced out and you're not seeing each other that much, and the time that you do see each other, you have to sit down and talk about the bills, all of the stuff that kids are doing. You're just like, I'm just not in the humor. And this becomes ingrained in your brain. The same pattern. She's grumpy, you tense up. And your mind starts running. Oh, I'm being rejected now. She doesn't love me anymore. Why aren't we like we used to be? Then maybe there's another argument. And then the more you walk into that track in your head, the deeper that groove gets in your mind. And your mind starts to wire the two of them together. You get more examples, more evidence, more proof. Your stress response gets faster. And it's like having a sensitive trigger in the back of your mind, a sensitive bully that's wired in and lit up. And it doesn't take much to trigger it off. It's like the small things trigger it off. The smallest things just set you off, and you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be easily agitated. You try to talk about it, and maybe you get dismissed, or you get angry, you get stressed out. So you keep to yourself and you push it down, but you don't actually stop talking about it. You just do it in your own head. You've stopped talking to her about it, but you're having this argument in your head. You want to say things. You're saying it in your head in different ways, and that's going to stress you out. And that's what keeps it all active and turns it into a divorce and a breakup. And I'm not saying that's where you are. I'm just saying, and I'm telling you, this is how it happens. There's patterns to your thinking, there's patterns to your behavior, and they're pretty predictable when you understand how they work. So you keep doing that, and then you move into the next stage of that, which is you're arguing all the time. You're creating this track in your brain that's getting deeper and deeper. The feeling gets wired into the picture of your wife, and the next stage is you're running on autopilot. You don't even think about it anymore. Your body reacts before she even speaks. You hear the car pull up, your stomach tightens. You hear her coming down the stairs, your stomach tightens, your jaw clenches. She hasn't even said a word, but you're already braced. Your brain has decided for you, it's not choice anymore. It's automatic. And then checking out, your brain's solution is to avoid it. You just check out, avoid it. Just don't talk about it. Put it off. I'm going to work. I'm going out. I'm going to the pub. I'm going up to see my friends. I'm going onto the computer. You stay later at work. You sit in the car before going into the house. And I'm not saying that you're at that late stage yet, but I'm just saying that this is how the process works. Because if you slow a person's description of their relationship issues down, you'll hear there's patterns inside of it. And you'll hear all of these things where people are saying the same thing. You're not really there when you're talking. You're just quiet. You stay in your own head. She says, why don't you talk to me anymore? You know how it goes. You start thinking, I don't even want to be around her. And when you start thinking like that, then comes the guilt. What about the family? Can't split up now. Like, I don't even know if I love her or not. I love her, but I'm not in love with her. What about the family? What about the kids? What about the future? And this can happen the other way around. I'm not just saying that this is men, but I specialize in working with men. This is what I'm talking about. If this is you and this is how you feel, she might say the same thing. There's patterns to it. It's predictable. And if you slow it down and look at it, you'll realize that you're part to play in this. And so is she, probably. Now, it's not just the relationship that triggers everything off. It's everything you start to worry about. What about the future? What about the kids? What about our marriage? What will the neighbors think? What will our friends think? It's everything. So here's the important part. And I'll keep saying this. This is a process. And if you understand the process, you can interrupt it. Now, just take this into consideration. It's not a fact, okay? You're just taking this into consideration. And it's something worth thinking about. What I'm explaining to you here is something worth thinking about. Sometimes, and I'm not knocking counseling, sometimes, especially for men, traditional counseling or therapy can actually keep this fire going. Sometimes it's like throwing fuel on the fire for a man. Now, women feel different about counseling and couples therapy. And men feel different about it. And I'm just talking from my experience and working with men. They don't want to do it. I've done another video on this. My wife wants counseling and I don't. And it's not because it's bad, but it's because if you're constantly talking about what's wrong, and men know this, if you're thinking about what's wrong, you're rehearsing the problem. The more you think about it, the more you reinforce it. The more you talk about it, the more you reinforce it. So you might understand what the problem is better because the therapist is going to tell you what's wrong. And you're going to walk out there and say, I fucking knew that. Like, can't believe we paid for that. I know what's wrong. And she's going to think it's you and you're going to think it's her. And then you're in the same room. And now that feeling of uncomfortable stress is getting more wired into your partner because now you're seeing her and you're feeling a sense of injustice. You're feeling picked on. You're feeling guilty. And you see the picture of her in your mind updates the process. I'm just saying this is a process. If you understand it, it will help you to change it. But when you go to therapy, sometimes, and a lot of times for men, you still feel the same. You just brush it off and just going, okay, look, I'll try harder. And now you're trying to force something that doesn't feel natural. You're trying to make yourself be nice and you're trying not to say something and you're biting your tongue. And it becomes an effort instead of desire. And that can keep things stuck. And by the way, I'll always mention this in all my videos because I need to help people to be aware that there is help available if you feel like you're stuck. This is exactly what the kind of thing that I help men with. Do it privately. Not by pulling everything apart, but by changing how you feel inside about it. Because here's what actually shifts this. You have to start with you. And I know you're probably thinking, you haven't met my wife. Like, she's the problem. The first thing you have to understand is, in order to change this, unfortunately, you're here watching my video, and you're the one that has to take a stand on this and step up and be the first to go. Start with you. If you can change your state, your mood, and see her while you're feeling better. So if you put yourself into a better mood and you can change your mood and keep seeing her while you're making yourself feel good and having that power to do that, you begin to reverse the pattern. Now your brain starts linking her with a better feeling. This is how it works. Reconsolidation works both ways. Stacking the deck works both ways. And with a better feeling, you're using the same mechanism. That's how I do it. I get someone to think about something that feels bad, and then I change how they feel, and then I reconsolidate and it's called transference over the feeling to the thing that they're thinking about, and all of a sudden they feel better about it. This process is happening to you every day. If it's the problem, we're just using it in the other direction. It's how change occurs. It's how you learn everything. It's a natural process, but it can be influenced. And the more you do that, the more the new pattern starts to build. You start to feel better around her. And that changes how you show up. Just think about that. And that starts to influence the relationship, because it takes two people to create tension. It takes two people to have a conflict. But sometimes someone has to go first to change it. And if you go first, because you're the man, you can shift the direction of this. And I know she might have some stuff going on as well, and we could split hairs on this. She might not even realize what's happening. But when you start to change, she'll start to feel it. And that's where things begin to change. No matter what she's doing, how do you want to feel? How do you want to be as a person? Even if she's going through a bad time, so that you can be supportive and help her. So the real work here is changing how you think and feel about her and your situation, and how you feel inside of you. Because the version of her in your head, if you think about your wife or your partner, the version of her that you have inside your head is the version you're reacting to. And you can even be uncomfortable thinking about her while you're out and about and in work. That's the image you have to change. The negative interpretation do you have of her inside of you, based on all the stuff that you went through and whatever the reason was that it built up. Change that, and everything starts to follow. If you want the starting point for this, there's a free course that I have, and I'll link it here in the description. And it's a very powerful free course that I just created to help you to change your attention. So it's called 5 Steps to Reclaim Your Attention, to take back control of your attention. So it teaches you how to have a mindset that understands how to make this feeling worse or better. So it gives you a process, a system that you can rely on, that you can always go back to as life unfolds. Take 100% accountability and responsibility for your own actions and your own behaviors, and you'll know that if you're feeling bad, there's something inside of this mini course that will help you to understand what it is that you're doing. And it'll help you to understand what's happening underneath all of this. And I give you something practical here to start shifting it. It's a simple course, and you'll get it on my website here. You'll just click in the link below. And if you want to sit down and work through this personally, one-to-one, you can reach out to me through my site. You'll see my site linked in the description below here. It's www.paulcampbell.ie. No pressure. You can give me a call. You can book a free discovery call, an icebreaker call, just a conversation. If you do join the course and you don't work with me personally, or if you work personally with me, you get access to all of this anyway. You're also part of a private community, whether you work with me or not. If you want to just join the course, get access to that. If you feel you need a little bit more accountability and help and a personal one-to-one, so we can work on your specific issue, that's when you work with me. That's where I go deeper into this kind of work. The course, the free course, it's a solution-focused approach. Everything I do is solution-focused. For men who feel like responsibility is starting to pile up and you want to get on top of them, the whole idea is to help you to clear your head. If the course works for you and you're just at those early stages, great. If you've got something that's a little bit deeper, give me a call and we'll have a chat about it. You'll see all the, I'm very transparent. The information is all on my website, what the cost of the coaching is. And I'll help you to get a little bit of distance on what's going on so that you can actually think clearly and more positively, in a better state of mind. And when you're feeling like that, you make better decisions. That's where things start to change. And if you want to move faster with this, as I said, just give me a call. We'll have a chat and I'll tell you, look, go do the mini course. I think that might help you. Or we'll talk about booking in personal coaching with me. I only have limited spaces. There's only a certain amount of people that I can work with. So if you don't get access to the calendar and it's booked up, just send me an email and I'll see if we can work something out. We'll look at what you're dealing with and I'll see if I can help you through it. It's very direct. We focus on what's actually going on in your life for you, and we work through it in a simple and effective way. If it's a fit, great. If it's not, no problem. You can just tell me straight away and I'll just tell you straight away if we're a good fit and we want to work together. So you can check out my site and have a look at what I do. And if you decide from there, paulcampbell.ie, I'll either see you on the inside of the course or I'll see you on a call or in the next video. Thank you for watching.